In every single cell of every single living thing, there's a kind of master blueprint. It's a code, and it dictates literally everything, from the color of your eyes to how a flower knows to bloom. Today, we're going to unlock the secrets of this fundamental code of life.
So what is this instruction manual really? I mean, how does life store all the information it needs to create something as complex as you or me? Well, the answer is actually a lot simpler and way more elegant than you might think.
It's basically a language, but, not one with words or sounds. It's this biological code, this invisible architect that's behind every living thing, running the whole show.
And get this, the entire alphabet for this unbelievably complex language is made up of just 4 chemical letters. I mean, stop and think about that for a second. Everything that makes you is spelled out with an alphabet of only 4 characters. It's wild.
Those 4 letters are stored on a truly remarkable molecule, deoxyribonucleic acid, or as we all know it, DNA. This right here is life's master blueprint.
All right, so to really understand the blueprint, we've got to start with the ink it's written in. We have to look at the basic building block of it all, the nucleotide.
Okay, so every single nucleotide has 3 key parts. You've got a sugar molecule that gives it structure, a phosphate group that kind of acts like a connector, and then you have the star of the show, a nitrogenous base. This base is the actual letter in our genetic alphabet.
So we have these 4 letters, but they're not all the same. They actually fall into 2 different families. And lucky for us, there's a super simple trick to remember which is which. Just think pure as gold.
So what does that mean? Well, this little phrase tells us that adenine, the A, and guanine, the G, are the pure ones. They're called purines. The other 2, cytosine and thymine, they belong to a group called pyrimidines. And this difference in their structure is absolutely crucial for how the DNA ladder gets built. Oh, and we'll meet that 5th base, uracil, in just a little bit.
Now, DNA might be the master blueprint, but it needs a helper to actually get the work done. And that's where RNA comes in. As you can see, they're really similar, but there are a few key differences. RNA uses a slightly different sugar. It swaps out thymine for that base we just mentioned, uracil, and it's usually just a single strand, which makes it a much more flexible messenger.
So how do all these individual nucleotides come together to form that famous double helix? Let's take a closer look at this incredible, twisted ladder. The structure of DNA is just so elegant. The sugar-phosphate backbone, that forms the 2 rails of the ladder, and the paired bases create the rungs. But here's a super important detail. The 2 strands run in opposite directions, kind of like a two-way street. We call this anti-parallel, and this direction is essential for how the cell's machinery reads and copies the code.
So how do the rungs of the ladder actually pair up? It's not random at all. There's a very strict rule. And yep, there's another handy phrase to remember it. AT2CG3.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Adenine always pairs with thymine, and they're held together by 2 hydrogen bonds. Cytosine always pairs with guanine, held together by 3 hydrogen bonds. And this specific pairing, a big purine with a smaller pyrimidine, is what keeps the width of the DNA ladder perfectly uniform. It's a critical design feature for stability.
Okay, so we have this incredibly stable blueprint. But for life to go on, that blueprint has to be copied perfectly, every time. This brings us to DNA replication.
The whole process is called semi-conservative replication. It sounds complicated, but all it really means is that when DNA copies itself, each new molecule is a hybrid. It keeps one of the original strands and then builds one brand new strand right alongside it. It's an absolutely fantastic way to make sure the copy is accurate.
To get this job done, the cell uses a team of specialized enzymes. Think of it like a construction crew. First, you've got DNA helicase. It acts like a zipper, unwinding the 2 strands. Then comes the master builder, DNA polymerase. It reads the template and adds the correct new bases. And finally, you have an enzyme called DNA ligase, which acts like glue, linking any little fragments together to create a perfect, seamless new strand.
So copying the blueprint is one thing, but how do you actually use it to build something? Well, that's the job of protein synthesis.
This is a classic 2-step process. First, in a process called transcription, the cell makes a temporary copy of a gene. It's like photocopying a single recipe from a giant cookbook. That copy, called messenger RNA, or mRNA, then travels out of the nucleus to the cell's factory, the ribosome. And there, the second step, translation, happens. That's where the mRNA's message is read and used to build a very specific protein.
Now, the genetic code itself has some really incredible features. It's a triplet code, which means the letters are read in groups of 3, like 3-letter words. It's degenerate, which sounds bad, but it's actually a really good thing. It means there are backup words for the same instruction, which protects against errors. It's non-overlapping, so the message is read cleanly from start to finish. And, maybe the most amazing part of all, it's universal. The code to build a protein in you is the same code in a mushroom or a blue whale. It's amazing.
So we've seen how nucleotides store information, but it takes a lot of energy to copy that information and build proteins. Well, it turns out the very same basic molecule is also the universal power source for all life.
Meet ATP, adenosine triphosphate. If you look closely, yep, it's a nucleotide. It has adenine, a ribose sugar, and 3 phosphate groups. This little guy is the universal energy currency for all of life. Whenever a cell needs to get something done, it just breaks one of those phosphate bonds, and boom, a packet of energy is released that it can use right away.
And what's that energy used for? Well, a good way to remember is the mnemonic MAB. M is for movement, like contracting your muscles. A is for active transport, pumping molecules across cell membranes. And B is for biosynthesis, which is basically providing the energy to build all the complex molecules a cell needs.
So here it is, the big takeaway. Life runs on this single, beautiful, elegant system. DNA provides the permanent library of information. RNA is the on-demand messenger that carries the instructions. And ATP is the rechargeable battery that powers the whole operation. It's information and energy all intertwined through one remarkable molecule.
And that just leaves us with one final, really powerful question. If this incredibly complex and specific genetic code is universal across pretty much every living thing on our planet, what does that tell us about our origins? What does that say about our deep, ancient, and undeniable connection to all other life on Earth?